Hello and welcome back to the GB Fantasy Football channel. On today's video, we're going to be doing the second draft of pre-season. Now, the first one, it was decent. The game had just come out. The database was still fresh. We're still getting to grips with all the things that we needed to produce a draft which looks semi-decent. But can we better that? Can we fit and make that 50 million budget go a little bit further? Potentially get a few more points out of the starting 11? We'll see. But once again, I do have to thank you all for the support on the channel. It's been really, really humbling, and I just I can't thank you all enough for dropping the thumbs up, hitting that subscribe button. It's been really nice to see the feedback on the videos, and thank you very much. If you could do it again for this video, it'd be greatly appreciated. Let's see some love for the second draft. Hit that thumbs up, and once again, do smack that subscribe button. Be greatly appreciated. See if we can grow the channel even further and produce quite the community over here going forward. Be nice to be in the new season, getting to know all of you, dropping your comments down below on how your teams are going as well, seeing who's making those drafts and who isn't quite making the cut. But without further ado, let's crack on with the video. Just a few pieces of information before I do actually get into the draft. A few of you have asked in the comments down below for a specific league for Sun Dream Team for me to set one up, and I have gone ahead and done that. So the code will be on the screen. The code is HDTRU83A. I will big writing across the screen for those of you who can potentially join it as well. Go ahead, we're going to have a great time in there. See who gets above who in the leaderboards. Let's make it just a bit of fun. So that is the league that I've set up ahead of the new season. Also, this next bit of information, this is to do with how I'm setting my team up currently. Now, the graphic on the screen is from game weeks 1 to 3 in the 24-25 Sun Dream Team season. Now, previously, we had a lot more money for the big hitters. I had a front three last year that consisted of Isak, Haaland and Salah going into the first week, with, I believe, Saka in midfield and Gvardiol at the back. It seemed a well more balanced team going forward. However, with the player prices being up substantially this season, we're going to have to make cuts somewhere. Now, the graphic on the screen shows the amount of points that they earn in that period of the 3 games, potentially 4 games if some clubs had a second round of the Carabao Cup fixture. Now, the reason why I had such a good start last season is because I did indeed have number 1 and 2 on this graph, which was Erling Haaland and Mohamed Salah. Between the two of them, scoring 104 points over just 3 game weeks. It was incredible. I think Haaland got 7 goals, Salah got 3 goals, 3 assists, just incredible statistics. And if you didn't have them, you was well and truly left behind and playing catch up. You had Saka on this list, Eze, who importantly did play that second round of the Carabao Cup game, so he had 4 fixtures. And it doesn't say on this fixture, but I know for a fact he played 360 minutes out of those first 4 fixtures. So once again, I did have him in my team. A fantastic pick. Maybe a spoiler for my team a little bit later as well. You've got the normal people in here, the ones that you'd expect. Your Cole Palmer, Jared Bowen. Once again, an interesting pick on this graph. Dwight McNeil. Now, I know a few people had him at the start of last season. I know Scott from the Dream Team Tonic podcast was a big advocate of Dwight McNeil last season, especially at the start. Can he do the same again? I doubt it. Will he even get in the Everton team this season? Well, starting anyway, I'm not sure. Brian Mbeumo, of course, he's moved on to Manchester United from Brentford, so he isn't one to look at. I don't actually think he played in that second round against Colchester either. So you got Noni Madueke moved on. I think that consisted mainly of his hat trick against Wolves. Got Semenyo and Heung-min Son. But the graphic, what I've taken away from it, you've got to get those big hitters in up front. Those front 7, if you're playing the 3-4-3, of course, it's got to be where the main budget sits. We're probably going to have about 4 or 5 differentials and lower priced players within this bracket, but you've got to pump the money into the attackers because that's where the real points are at early doors. Now, with that in mind, let's crack on with the graph. So once again, I have been a little bit sneaky with regards to the team. We're going to break it down in goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders, and attackers across this video. The entire 50 million budget has been spent, so there is zero in the bank, which isn't exactly what I like. I like to have a 0.5 just in reserves in case of those price changes at the start of the season. Now, if you didn't know already, the transfers have changed with regards to rules from last season, where you had to use your 2 transfers previously, and otherwise you lost one and you could only take 3 and then a maximum of 4 into the 3rd week. This season is completely different. If you've got 2 transfers in week 1, you don't use any leading into week 2, you will then have the full quota of 4 transfers in the 2nd week. And going into the 3rd week, if you then don't use any 2 transfers going from week 2 to week 3, you will have 6 transfers in total, which is the max cap for this season. So it does change the way that you can set your team up. It means if you set your team up really well, then everyone's going to get a price boost and a 0.2, 0.3, even a 0.1 in that 1st week. You can hold those transfers back and potentially target the Carabao Cup 2nd round, or even hold them back a little further and potentially target the opening fixtures for the European games. Now, with that in mind, the goalkeeper, I've got Kelleher of Brentford. Now, there's several positions in this team that I'm really struggling because I don't like fixture just where they combine. I don't like my attackers playing my defenders or my goalkeeper. I don't like the lack of points and the ceiling potential that has. However, I'm not seeing value for money. I initially had Areola in this position, and if you saw the game against Manchester United the other day, it was a disaster. I think they've been linked with Hermansen from Leicester. Not sure why. He really wasn't great in the Premier League last time around. But if his position's under threat, Kelleher will be the one for me, more than likely. 3 million, a little bit too much for my liking. One player I do have my eye on is Kinski from Tottenham. Now, a few people jokingly put out a picture on social media of Vicario's mugs in the club shop being reduced from £10 to £5. Don't know how much you can really look into that. But if Kinski is the starting goalkeeper for Tottenham at 2.5 million, he'll be straight into my team. He will be an automatic lock. You get those European fixtures and, of course, just save potential. And under Thomas Frank, there will be a better defence. But currently, Kelleher is my goalkeeper. The first 3 fixtures, Forest away, Aston Villa and Sunderland, so not too bad. But with that Forest fixture away, can you see a clean sheet? Can you see Brentford being solid defensively again? I think he's going to be cheap enough. Well, I say cheap enough, 3 million is actually towards the top end of my budget. He will get enough save points, and you are banking on maybe 1 clean sheet out of them 3, potentially. I'm not sure. You won't play in the League Cup 2nd round, in my opinion. I think that will be Valdemarson, if I've got that one right. They didn't play, Flecken didn't play in the 2nd round last season, so I don't see that being the case again. But currently, I'm on Kelleher. So the back 3 currently is similar, but partially changed. I've gone for the 1 premium, 1 mid, 1 cheap budget option in defence. It enables me to move up and down quite freely within those price brackets. And it's a good look. At least that's what I think. Cucurella, attacking potential is massive in that Chelsea system. Gets forward a lot. I mentioned this in my first draft. He's really one that I am quite fond of picking in this team. Fixtures, Crystal Palace, West Ham and Fulham in the opening 3. Not ideal. We'll come to that a little later. Aidan Heaven from Manchester United. Now, I did mention him in the previous video. 2 million in budget for the team. And I do believe he will start the season for Man United, at least until game week 4, when Lisandro Martinez does come back from his injury. Now, for 2 million, which is the bargain basement, you can't get a player cheaper than that. There is a potential for him to have 4 fixtures, including a double in game week 2 across the first 3 game weeks. And I think he will play. He's certainly someone that Amarin has taken a liking to. He sees him being able to play that left-sided role in the back 3 quite well. He strides out with the ball. He does look like a really good signing, and I think they only signed him for peanuts transfer-wise. So for Manchester United, that's an exceptionally good deal. They've got Arsenal, Fulham and Burnley in the first 3. Burnley being the prime fixture. I think it's Burnley at home in game week 3 and the potential for Fulham and a double in game week 2. It's just that Arsenal at home fixture that's really still leaving a doubt in my mind for the opening day. They look decent against West Ham in the pre-season game, but they still give up a goal. For 2 million, though, what are we really expecting? Can we see Aiden Heaven? I will get there one day, I swear. Aiden Heaven picking up maybe 2 to 4 points in those first 3, 4 fixtures, amassing maybe 15 to 20 points over 4 games, potentially. And for 2 million, can you win a little bit of money off that as well? I think so. And finally, in the defence, I've got De Kuiper from Brighton. From what I've been led to believe, he's going to play left wing back. And now that Estepinian's gone, he's really looking quite nailed in that Brighton lineup. A lot of goals, a lot of assists in his previous campaign. And with opening fixtures of Fulham, Everton, and Manchester City with a potential double with Everton in game week 2, he's one to look out for. Only 3 million is giving me similar vibes to Anthony Robinson at the start of last season. Maybe not quite as many tackles, maybe not quite as many bonus points, which is still to be known. Maybe he's going to thrive on that aspect. But I've picked him more on the attacking output, the assists, the chances created, even potentially shots on target. And with Fulham and Everton being in the opening too, I feel like there's actually a decent potential for clean sheets as well. He doesn't clash with any of my attackers, or does he? And this is the problem. Attackers clashing with defenders. It's just leaving me with quite a conundrum. But currently, that is my back four. The midfield four has undergone quite the overhaul since game week 1, but draft 1, I should say. There's a few options in there I'm quite set on. There's a few that I'm hoping we get a bit more clarity on. And then there's the budget option as well. Cole Palmer, I think for the 0.5 saving that you get over Bukayo Saka, when Saka's first 3 fixtures consist of United away and Liverpool away with a lead fixture in between, yes, he'd be good for captaincy in game week 2. Yes, Saka is incredibly good for bonus points and all that stuff. I feel like Cole Palmer at the start of seasons just has some magical juice in his boots. With the fixtures as well, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Fulham, I do see the form carrying over from that Club World Cup final. I've just got that feeling for Palmer. I do think that with João Pedro in the team and perhaps a few new additions in that Chelsea lineup, he could just bring that form back that we all know he has. We've got Ndai from Everton, solid fixtures, Leeds, Brighton and Wolves in the first 3 game weeks. Obviously, Brighton could potentially be a double as well. And I do think with the brand new stadium, Everton could start well. Ndai, as far as that we're aware, is also on penalties. Good attacking output from last season. Only 4 million is giving me certain vibes from another player I've got in my midfield from the start of last season as well. I'm hoping for just a little bit of specialness from Ndai at the start of the season. Can he produce the goods? Are we banking too much on Everton being an attacking force when realistically over the previous seasons they've lacked a bit? They've been a bit lackluster up front. Still yet to be seen. We've then got Sean Longstaff. Now I spoke about this in a few videos a little while back. Transferred from Newcastle to Leeds, and he is a £2 million budget pick. He might get you a few attacking returns, but I'm banking more on a bonus points, tackles kind of thing. If he's getting forward out of that Leeds midfield and he's really getting into those attacking positions, 2 million is an absolute steal, to be fair. Everton, Arsenal, and Newcastle in the first 3 with a potential Arsenal double in game week 2. For 2 million, similar to Heaven in defence, what are we really looking for these players? If I can get between 3 and 5 points a game for him, maybe steal 0.5 in rising prices over the first few weeks, I'd gladly take that when it comes to Longstaff. And the final player in midfield is Eberechi Eze. Now, if you don't know, I did indeed finish 3rd last season in Sunderland team in the world overall, and Eze was a huge part of the season for me. I started with him. He played the Carabao Cup 2nd round game. He really flourished. He got lots of points in that fixture. And I also had him towards the back end. I captained him in the week where he scored the winner against City in the cup final and came off the bench and scored after about an 8-minute cameo. So he really, I've got a special place in my heart for Eze, which is quite ironic really as an Arsenal fan, because if the transfer rumours are to be believed, he might actually be coming to the Emirates this season. And that is the one doubt for Eze in my mind. He's a £5.5 million pick, and if there was zero doubts about him or his availability going into the season, he'd be in my team. He's a bonus point magnet. It runs that Palace attack. They base it around him, the creativity, the flair. If you didn't see his pre-season game, he took the ball on the halfway line, beat 3 or 4 people, and nearly scored one of the goals of the season by chipping the goalkeeper from about 25 yards out. It was an incredible effort. I love the way that he plays, and especially in Sun Dream Team, he fits that criteria that we're looking for. If we get a bit of clarity going into the season, he will stay, despite clashing fixture wise with Cucurella and Palmer on the opening day. It's not ideal, but especially with Palace being in the Conference League as things stand, I do think Eze will get a lot more games this season. Is it just nostalgia taking over with that? Am I spending £5.5 million when potentially I could sneak an extra million out from somewhere else and get Saka into the team? I'm not sure, but as things stand, that is my midfield four. Up front, as you can see, a certain Norwegian robot has made his way into my second draft. The fear of missing out was too much, unfortunately, and I think he's going to be staying for the deadline and beyond. It's scary times. Haaland in August, he's done well ever since he's turned up at Man City. He scored 2 on the opening day when he first turned up away to West Ham. He scored incredible amounts at the start of last season. I think he scored a hat trick against Ipswich and then perhaps another hat trick, maybe even against West Ham the game before or after that. He's just a machine, and going without him could be a season ender before we even get to the end of the transfer window in August. And I'd rather be in it and have a good time than gamble without him. We've then got Mo Salah. Is going to be a mainstay in my team for the majority of the season, barring any injury. And of course, the African Cup of Nations, whenever that is in Sun Dream Team. I know for FPL it's game week 16, so I'd assume it's about January time, similar to how it used to be. Salah is Salah. Do I need to say any more on the matter? Broke all kinds of records last season. If you saw the video the other day where I broke down the stats and just the sheer volume of goal contributions that he had for Liverpool last season, it was astounding. And if he could even get 70-80% of that again, it'd be well worth the money this season. So he is in the team and potentially my captain going into game week 1 as well, depending on what Bournemouth do transfer wise and just stealing up that back four. And then we've got Jared Bowen still, Sunderland away, Chelsea, and then Forest. Similar to Eze, with Chelsea in the second fixture, I don't like the fact that I've got a midfielder that plays against Cucurella in the first game and an attacker that plays against Cucurella in the second game. I love the attacking output that he has in defence. I really, really do. This is Cucurella. But with him playing 2 players that I've got currently in attack, am I limiting myself points-wise? Can Cucurella pick up bonus points, tackles, as we know he can, to negate possibly one of my attackers taking the clean sheets off him? I'm not sure. So that is really niggling at the back of my mind going into potentially the third draft closer to the deadline. In an ideal world, no. But if you take each asset individually, Cucurella, Eze, and Bowen, fantastic. Bowen once again showing his quality in that West Ham team against Manchester United in the pre-season game. He looked lively. I don't know the breakdown of how the bonus points would have worked in that game, but from just watching the game, he looked on it. He got the goal. He's the driving force behind West Ham, and I can see, especially with that Sunderland fixture away on the opening day, there's potential there for perhaps a few goals. If he can carry the form over that he finished last season with, which it looks like he has, there's lots of points to be had. Of course, Chelsea, pretty decent defensively, actually. That's his second game. And then Forest, in his third game, 2 defences that were quite tight last season. Can I still see him picking up points? I can. I really can. And the only player that might make it into this front line, perhaps Victor Gyökeres of Arsenal. Now, the pricing hasn't been released on any fantasy format yet, but it's a bit weird, to be honest. If Gyökeres comes in under 5.5 million, it's going to change the draft. I might have to switch out Bowen and then get a 5 million midfielder instead of Eze. I think Gyökeres is really going to hit the ground running for Arsenal. I don't know whether that's hope, whether that's my heart over my head kind of thing, new player, new league. And I'm also unsure if he's going to take penalties off Saka, which would be massive for Saka's 6.5 million budget and potentially whatever Gyökeres comes in at. So he's one to look out for. And also Chris Wood, he's got some pretty favourable fixtures at the start of the season. Scored in a 3-1 defeat to Fulham in pre-season, so he's still showing that goal-scoring prowess. And for only 4 million, I think he is one to look at. I think with Forest being in the Europa League, Igor Jesus, one of their new signings, will take minutes off him up front. And even, it's not Adeyemi, is it? I forgot the Awonyi, the centre forward for Forest. I think he will take minutes off him as well. He's not exactly a spring chicken anymore, but if he can continue to put the ball in the back of the net, I think 4 million for Chris Wood represents very good value for money. But that is my current draft, my second draft, that is. I'm sure there'll be quite a few more still to come. Plenty of tinkering. That's how it's looking at the minute. And that is it for today's video, I'm afraid. That is the second draft of, I'm sure, many, many more. Leave a comment down below on how your drafting is going so far, which players are nailed and which ones are you still tinkering with. I'm intrigued to see which players consistently pop up in people's mentions in teams. It's always nice to see if someone has an affiliation with someone from a previous season, or they just think they're a fantastic asset going into this season alone. I will put the link to the Sun Dream Team League in the description below, along with all my socials. You've got TikTok, Instagram, all the good stuff over there, so please do go check it out. Leave a like if you've enjoyed today's video, and please do subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated for all things going forward. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in a new video very soon.